All right, so last year we built an E30 with an F20 in it. For 2022, we're building a 997 GT3. Pretty messed up GT3, but I think the tub is good. I'm pretty sure the tub is good. I'm gonna guess like a curb or something that ripped off the suspension. Do we have any front suspension here? Oh yeah. So in part one, we stripped the chassis that we're using for the Eneos GT3 and really assessed what we're gonna be doing with the project. Now in part two, we have Adam from illumaesthetic coming over, and he's gonna 3D scan the car in my driveway, and then we're gonna send the scans out to Rob from Cage Kits. And from there, Marcus from Marcus Fry Racing is gonna weld in the cage. So, why are we spraying the car with foot cream?
I wanna pick up the windows. And I'm using foot cream because they do make like dedicated scan spray, but I can get 8 bottles of this for the price of 1 bottle of the actual scan spray.
I thought we were going for a jog. I thought you were commenting on my weight. There we go. What? How thick do you want it?
Yeah, don't do it thick. Just make sure you cover mostly everything. So I think like this is fine.
Okay. Foot cream on the GT3. In case you lose tracking?
Yeah. With scanners, they have like something like this as far as their view image. So like if you're scanning something big and flat like a hood, it's not gonna know the difference between what's here and what's over there. Our scanner scans in color. Oh, cool. So as long as there's some feature, they'll use that feature to track itself
and compile an image.
Yeah. Yep. So once you see the scanner, like that's why scanning the interior is actually really easy, because there's so many like holes, bolts, all that
intricacies.
Like, scanning the interior is actually like super easy.
Yeah. Good. There's a solid flex too that you showed up in R33. That was nice.
I was telling him that's literally the only practical car I have. My 240 is covered in stickers, and then I have a Honda Beat that I'm afraid to take on the highway.
What's a Beat?
Honda Beat, the K car. The way these scanners work is something called structured light scanning. So it emits a grid pattern naked to the invisible eye, and it uses the deformation in the grid. Oh wow, that's so sick. It uses the deformation of the grid mesh to measure what the distance is, right? Because as a grid mesh hits objects closer and further from it.
That's not echo. What is that? That's radar?
It's similar to radar, but it's not exactly radar.
LiDAR?
It's not iLiDAR either.
What's iLiDAR? What's that based on?
iPhone will use LiDAR.
Is it possible to do anything like this with an iPhone?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. In my opinion, the iPhone LiDAR kind of sucks. Your actual Face ID camera is way better. The Face ID algorithm works way better.
Huh.
The LiDAR is more meant for like big areas like rooms.
What got you into this?
I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. I just like making shit. So really, this is a toy. It's like it's really like it's part of my business. Yep. But I don't scan for a living. It's literally a toy. Right now, it's processing because I'm scanning in HD for you. So all the black you're seeing, all the black you're seeing is the back of a scan. So because everything like it doesn't know where origin is, and because it doesn't have any relative, because everything scans relative to itself, right? It doesn't know where origin is, so I have to align everything. So what I'm doing is while the scanner is cooling down and I'm letting things charge, I'm gonna align the right side of the car. I think I should have most of the entire right side. I'll scan it and then I'll just do the same thing for the left side. So I have the interior. So I have a couple of tools I'm gonna use. So I have registration. So these are just to align them on each other. While I'm scanning, the computer is actively trying to process and piece all these pictures together. Sometimes it doesn't do it perfectly because it's got to move on to the next one. So this is basically me going back and saying, hey, look through this shit again, make sure nothing's weird. The fact that it's not moving very much means that it was already reasonably pretty accurate the first time around, but that may or may not change as I add more scans. So what I'm gonna do here is, these are the same area, right? So, interesting. Is that right?
Hold on, let's see.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Yep. That hole should line up with that right there.
Right there, right there.
Oh, you can just.
I'm gonna pick the back.
I'm
gonna pick the back of the shock tower right here. Yeah, imagine trying to do this by hand.
You should just lay down a couple of pieces of tape.
I could.
Could have used
those. Yeah, that would have been very intelligent. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think of that. But it should be fine. So I'm gonna align it.
Wow. Boom. Would you look at that?
Most of the interior is done. There's a couple of cleanup stuff I need here, right? So the top sides of the tunnels aren't here. And then I'll process it and then proof it to Rob, make sure it's signed off, and then we're good.
So preemptively, me and Felix started packing up, right? And we put the car away. But now we've got to measure to verify that it actually
It's okay, Hail
matches the
Mary.
car. Right, Hail Mary, just do it. Send it.
Well, the problem is this is in millimeters, so you got to do that mental math in your head.
You can do that. Mental math in our head?
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that either.
I don't get paid.
It's Saturday.
They'll probably be within a millimeter. Right here?
Yeah, well, the seam wherever the door closes, though, because it'll be on, like,
So it's right
there. Yep.
I think that's it, yeah.
1841.
Whoa.
No way.
Dude.
No way.
Nailed it.
What? Cool, high five.
Nice.
High five, Rob. So scanning a car in my driveway and then sending the scans off to get a cage designed and bent is really not the typical way of doing things. So we were just making sure that the measurements of reality were same as those as the measurements in our scan. And from there, Rob at Cage Kits designed the cage and then CNC bent it with his CNC bender. So it's absolutely precise.
Yeah. This is the first time we're trying out one of these cage kits from Chair Slayer, cage kit in a Porsche. And from what I've heard, they fit pretty good. But I mean, this looks like a nice part, and here's the best part. That's a lot tighter than many people's sphincters.
That's all right. Yeah. It's wild to see the process. I mean, it's been a.
It's definitely a lot more stress. That's definitely a lot more stress-free.
Yeah.
I see no stress here. I just have to take some shit. If I was in a hurry, I wouldn't even take shit off. I would just, weld on it. It would turn out like crap.
So the wild thing is that, Rob from Cage Kits has never seen one of these cars. Illumaesthetic came over to my house and 3D scanned the shell in my driveway. And if you look at the way the plate fits, I mean, it's just incredible. He even made a relief. I mean, it's big enough to go around this little lip the shock tower has. And
like, that's a complicated part to make.
very, yeah.
Coming from a background of CAD design and modeling, that's, when you have a three-dimensional render of a chassis, obviously that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, pretty wild and incredible. I mean, a lot of guys send their cars off to LA or different cage builders to get the cages done, and everyone's so backed up, and material's really expensive and hard to get, and it's like, you don't want to reinvent the wheel to build a cage. So hopefully this welding in process is a little bit easier than designing and building a cage up from scratch. What are you thinking? Are you gonna TIG this, or you don't know? We'll see how it fits first,
Well,
right?
we're going to see how it fits, and if it's possible, we'll be TIGging it. And if TIGging is going to either put too much heat in the tube due to filling in gaps or anything like that, then we're going to MIG it. But, I mean, I can make that look good, too.
Yeah. Pretty sick, huh? As I borrow his knife, I'm making fun of him having a knife. You like that? Alrighty, you ready? Just us talking. It's good B-roll.
Yeah,
So the 1-1.
this is where it's really confusing. And here's more confusing. See, I zoom in, and I'm totally confused.
Adult Lego.
Instructions with a cage.
It's crazy.
I've never had that before. So it's laser cut. It looks like, oh no, it's just them deburring it. I thought it were like, oh, they fitted it together.
Magic.
Fits great. That's pretty awesome.
I mean, that's pretty insane, right?
Yeah, everything is, yeah, so I basically get to make the basic structure, or I tack together the basic structure, and then I fit everything else. I have to do it loosely, or else I can get it may be off in one way or another. But yeah, no, this is very promising so far.
So the cool thing about having a 3D scanned car with a CNC bent cage is that they can get it really close to the body without any guesswork. And Rob got it really, really close. And so what are you gonna do? You're gonna take the paint off?
I'm gonna mock up the A-bars in position. We're gonna mark all the spots on the A-pillar bar where we can remove paint and weld the bar to the A-pillar, and that way we don't have to use dimple die gussets for cage to chassis connection. So it's more direct. There's no leverage with a dimple die plate. They look cool, but it's technically not the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, puppy!
It's cool how high it is here, you know what I mean? So that the helmet should really clear.
Being somebody who's built hundreds of cages, this is definitely really easy. Really easy. Going through the stress of learning how to bend up these things by hand is tedious and time consuming. And doing this we'll have a cage in. If it wasn't for the prep to put the boxes in, we would have the cage done in a day. A full 6-point Formula Drift cage in one day. Which before, my personal best was like a 4-point and door bars, which would have been a Sonoma spec cage. I've worked a very long one day and got it done in one day.
This is an 8-point cage actually because of the intrusion bars.
Oh, shut up.
All right.
All right. I was able to get, so the bottom bar, it needs to line up in its spot.
Yep.
So I had to lift it up to get it up in its spot. That just means that the B-hoop was slightly bent in, but it was only off by a tiny bit, and that's totally fine. Like I was able to...
So this is the first time I've been part of something like this where we scanned a car and then sent the scan off to Rob at Cage Kits for him to design and then build a cage. And it's been amazing, right? Like the fitment of it into the car is incredible. The design of it's really cool. The packaging, the shipping, everything, kind of instruction manual, everything came together really well. To the point where, I mean, things were laser etched to show you which tube touches which tube, making the installation, kind of figuring everything out really easy. So next episode, we're gonna fit the engine and transmission. And as we mentioned earlier, it's gonna be a Japanese engine, but the cool thing also is that it's gonna be a Japanese transmission. Being a transaxle, that makes things interesting. Stay tuned for the next episode.